If your manifestation has been taking forever and you've been doubting the process, this is going to make it crystal clear and you'll start manifesting immediately. This is something that 90% of people don't do. I'm giving you the exclusive. I appreciate you subscribing right down at the bottom because you're racking up those breakthroughs. I guarantee you most people aren't doing what I'm about to tell you because most people live from their outer world. They're constantly focusing on what's happening right in front of them, focusing on the obstacle, focusing on, oh my gosh, I have to have this turned in at this time. I got to be at work. I don't like this person at work. I'm so tired of my job. I have these obstacles. I want to start a business, but it's too hard. Always focusing on the outside when really it's about what's happening on the inside. Now, I know you've heard that a lot. Sounds a little cliche, but this is what it really means. Are you with me? It means you taking accountability for the things that happen in your reality. Now, I know you're probably like, these obstacles, I'm not causing these things to happen. I'm not causing clients not to come to me. I'm not causing business being hard for me. I'm not causing these bills and expenses piling up. Well, you know what? You have a part in it. You wouldn't be experiencing it if you didn't have a part in it. Now, this is what happens. Let me tell you, and write this down and make a note of it. You have beliefs, particularly limiting beliefs, that keep having these obstacles happen in your life, keep having these setbacks occur in your life. So when you're having these obstacles, the only reason they seem, they're not really obstacles. They're not really these brick walls in front of you. It only feels like that because you have a limiting belief that is telling you that's what it is. So that's how you experience it. So what's happening in front of you, you have either a lot to do with it or a little bit to do with it, but it all still goes with your belief system. It has something to do with you. So when you start living from your inner world and asking yourself good questions, instead of constantly focusing on what's outside of you, because in school, we were in school and just growing up, we were conditioned to ask questions about, math equations and things that are outside of us. Like why is the sky blue? Why is 2 times 2 4? Like simple things like that. But we were never conditioned to ask questions to ourselves because this is where the power lies. Now, I'm not talking about questions like, how do I get to my goal? How do I achieve this? How do I do how? We can take the hows out. Now, I'm going to give you the good questions. Like when the fear of failure crept up on me, I started, instead of being upset and blaming my family for putting me in this position and not equipping me with all the right tools, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into my inner world. And I started asking myself these questions. Why do I feel the fear of failure? Why do I feel fear and anxiety around being successful? What in my childhood made me feel like a failure? And you go on and you just ask these questions. Why does it feel unsafe for me to feel successful? Why is it unsafe for me to have more clients? Why is it unsafe for me to, and you just go on like that. You ask yourself the good questions so you keep peeling back the layers of that limiting belief. And when you peel back the layers, you get to the core limiting belief. And then from there, when you process that, release and reframe it, then all those other stemming beliefs that were under it or above it, whatever, that were branching onto it, those fade away because you got the core. But to even do this, you got to be aware of your emotions. That's the first step. And that's like with my clients and my students, I put them through a game that I put together so that they can become aware of their emotions. Any little tenseness, any little slight anxiety, anything, you're able to notice any little shift in your emotion so that you can tell, oop, I got a limiting belief going on. And another thing, you got to be honest with yourself. Like don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't try to, put it in, make up these beliefs. Your beliefs are your beliefs. Now we're digging into the layers so that you can bring it to the surface. And when you bring these beliefs to the surface, they're not going to make sense. They're going to be like, really? And that's why it's so easy to shift them once you identify them properly. Now, identifying them, I've been learning manifestation for since 2014. And identifying limiting beliefs, That part I didn't even understand until a few years ago. So this is the part that you really, if this resonates with you and you've been feeling like something is missing to this manifestation stuff, like my manifestation didn't happen yet, and it feels like my manifestations are spotty. This is the key right here. I have a free training right down below that you can get so that you can start the process of identifying your limiting beliefs. Because this stuff is easy. It takes practice, just like in school when you were learning algebra. For me, algebra, oh my gosh, like I had to take that for 2 years in high school. I failed it the first time and I took it again. But that's beside the point. To all my math lovers out there, and then my math dislikers out there. But so that is how it is though. You practice this and practice it. And it's easy to practice because you do it throughout your entire day. If something happens, something comes up on TV, you're watching, maybe you overhear the news or something, and you hear something that triggers you, you get a slight shift in your emotion where you feel fear and tenseness because you heard about there was a fire somewhere. So you feel that fear. Well, that just means you have a limiting belief. If it's like if it lasts more than like 15 seconds or so, then you have a limiting belief going on. And so you can address that. It's coming up for you for a reason. Because if you didn't have a limiting belief, you could watch that and just be like, I wish those people the best. And going into things that you can do to help instead of going into, oh, I feel fear. Start acknowledging the way you feel and not brushing it under the rug. Because for most people, what they do is if something happens in their reality, like if you wish you would have said something and you didn't say that particular thing to somebody because you felt anxiety about being in that group setting. And so then you're beating yourself up. You're like, oh man, I should have said something. And you're just going on and feeling that guilt. Instead of brushing it under the rug and just turning on the TV and watching reality TV, start questioning. Ask yourself the good questions so that you can shift that limiting belief that you have going on, so that when that type of situation happens again, you respond differently, you react differently, and you actually say what you want to say. Go on a tangent with the questions. Why is it so scary for you to start a business? Why is it so scary for you to be successful? Why is it so unsafe for you to be who you want to be? Why is it those things? What are you afraid will happen? What's something bad that will happen if you start becoming the version of yourself that's a successful entrepreneur? What's something bad that will happen that you think will happen? I know with manifestation, you're probably like, oh, I don't want to be negative. I was like that early on in my conscious manifestation journey when I was studying it early on. It was like, I had this tenseness around really like digging into limiting beliefs, because I was like, I don't want to be negative. I want to be high vibe, and I want to keep that high vibeness. But that was doing me a disservice because I delayed manifestations trying to be all high vibe. No, dig into the stuff, because this is what's going to speed up your manifestation. It's a paradox, but you get into the dirt, to get the flowers. Oh, that's a good one. I got some inner development for you. I want you to go through a whole day, get a journal, get a nice fresh new journal, and then I want you to start noticing the things happening in your reality. Start being aware of it. And when something comes up for you that you don't like, start that process of questioning, why is this thing happening for me? How does this in what way does this relate to me? It always relates to you in some type of way, and something that you believe about yourself. If you go into a store and you see somebody that brings up some fear in you, you don't know the person, and they just bring up that fear in you, like, that person may be shifty. Whether the person is shifty or not, it brought up a belief in you. So you believe something about yourself that's bringing about that fear. So that's what I mean by paying attention to your inner world, because it's reflecting your outer world. Because you'll meet people and they'll bring up emotions in you that you believe about yourself. It's not about the other person per se. It's about It's about your inner world. For all my gamers out there, see it like this. Your reality is a game. See it as a game. You are the player. The controller on how you control the player through this game is your inner world with your beliefs. That's how you control it. This is some powerful stuff, y'all. I'm telling you, when you do this throughout your day, you're going to notice so many manifestations happening. Now, the thing about manifestation too is you're manifesting all the time. So, and a lot of times you'll just want to pay attention and be obsessive over this manifestation that seems so big to you, like you being a six-figure entrepreneur, or you becoming an actor or actress, or being on TV. So a lot of times you'll just focus on that, and then you won't realize all these other manifestations happening because you're manifesting all the time. If your friend bought you a smoothie, that's a manifestation. If you, like for myself, if I recorded a video and I had less takes in the video, that's a manifestation because that's what I wanted. If you got a parking spot right in front of the store, that is a manifestation. All these things are manifestations. And when you start being aware that, wow, I manifested this, I manifested that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, you will realize how much of a powerful manifester you really are, because you are powerful. It just takes you understanding how to use this power and how to direct it towards the things that you actually desire. You don't have to go through the world sleep anymore because you know this information, or you're starting to know this information and learn this information because you can question. You can ask questions. The more you question, the better you're going to be at this, and the easier it is for you to get the accurate limiting belief, the accurate core limiting belief. It'll become that much easier for you, and then you'll just be manifesting left and right because you'll be aware of all these manifestations that are happening, and you don't have to just be obsessive over one thing because you can manifest multiple things at once. With all that said, I want to know the biggest breakthrough that you got from this video. Comment it right down at the bottom. And I appreciate you all for subscribing to this video and to subscribing to my channel and subscribing to this energy because you're getting breakthroughs. And I'll see you in the next one.